even if it's... Welcome back to the South African Endurance Series Championship. Man, there's just drama unfolding here properly. The Campos 600 here at Killarney International Raceway. Yours truly, Greg Maloney, the voice of choice. Colin Hasty and our team down in the pit lane. But down in pit lane, there's been chaos. There's also been chaos on track. The Janetta of Stuart White and Craig Jarvis has come to a complete stop on the main straightaway. I don't know if we've got a shot of that just yet, but if we get a shot of it, we can see them actually recovering that car and pulling it back into the pit lane. Cole, what's happening?
That Janetta, they lost drive. Something, a spigot shaft, something in the gearbox has broken. There's been a lot of action in the pit lane. Arsehole commentators have got hit by cars. We've had some fires. We've had bits of bodywork flying over. We've had the Janetta G55. That's the car that Jan Lammers has been driving in and out of the pits, and he's been complaining at a whole lot of things. The Comenius mining car here is in for a pit stop at the moment. James Forbes is in the car, and I'm keeping an eye on the pit entrance, as any good person should. We've got, look at the moisture on the visor of the refueler. Right, fuel's out, car's moving.
Well, Colin, as he pulls out the let me give a little update. That is the leading car that's just left the pit lane. Comenius Ligier leading things out at the moment, on having completed 51 laps. The 8 Call 24/7 car of Nick Adcock is now in second, and the Strocam Mining Ligier is third. Stradale Motorsport have moved down to fourth place. Behind them is the Backdraft Cobra. Then you've got Bucket List Racing, Bachelor Motorsport. First of the Nash Motorsport machines is up into 8th place, just ahead of our NSA Mopar sponsored Alfa Romeo. And then it's the Autohaus Angel Type R Civic that is now in the top 10. So just to give everybody an indication that you've joined us back here for the coverage of part 2 of the Campos 600 here from Killarney International Raceway. And it looks like we're back under virtual safety car. Cars have come into pit lane at the right time and going to capitalize on the fact that there's a 60 km/h zone right the way through the track.
Right, Greg, we've got the other Ligier going out now. They had a bit of an issue that Rion Botma's at the wheel of the car. This thing is not starting and going. I've got to try and stay out of the way so we don't get smashed again. Lots of revs, wheelie, out he goes. Wow, that was close with the steering. And I've got Charles Ranges over with me. Charles, you had a very interesting time in the car there. You were hopping curbs, you broke the tire?
Yes, yeah. You know, whenever you're racing against Nick Adcock, racing is quite hard. So, you know, I thought that we'd have some fun, which we did. And, yeah, I let him pass. And, yeah, that red mist came over my eyes again. I'm like, nah, stop that. I want to race him. And, yeah, through Malmesbury, he ran it a bit wide, running curbs, which so stupid, really. But in any case, I ran curb. And, yeah, down the back straight, I felt, uh-oh, we've got a flat. Luckily, my guys are on the ball. And, yeah, we didn't lose too much time. So, yeah, look, we're still in it. We had a bad pit stop just now. But, yeah, luckily the race is still long, and we're still on for a podium at least. So, yeah.
We've got a long, long way to go. And as night starts falling and things get a little bit slippery, it's going to get interesting. How long is your dad going to stay out in the car before you get back in?
Well, we're gonna give him, you know, we've got a minimum time that he has to be in the car, which is 45 minutes. So anything from 45 to an hour. You know, I don't want to come in twice again afterwards. So, you know, I want to stretch him as far as possible and be able to get in the car double stint and only have another one stopper. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for chatting to us and carry on. Right, Greg, are you there? We've got the Janetta that's just been towed back into the pit. I'm going to hand it back to you because we started racing again now, and I'm going to try and find out the inside story here. The guys aren't happy. Greg, you take it away.
Thanks, Cole. Yeah, there's lots of action down the pit lane, as you can see, and a lot of drama starting to unfold here with everything that's happening at Killarney International Raceway. The Janetta back into pit lane now, trying to get the issue sorted out on that machine. that runs a Chevy V8 in that machine. So looks like we're going to be having some fun and games. Just give me 1 second. I just want to go off quickly and have a quick chat to Gary. Right, so Gary's going to just sort out our feed here on our Facebook so we can pick up on that. And Janetta 5-5 coming back in as well. A couple of cars that were expected to be at the front end and really unmatched are now starting to fall and find there's some big issues all the way around here. I can see them pushing that Janetta back into the G57 back in. The 55 is now being worked on frantically in pit lane as well. I can see Colin is down there, but he's going to have a quick squeeze to see what's happening. Looking at the way things are turning out in terms of the race itself, though, Nick Adcock has retaken the lead and has moved to first place ahead of the Campos Ligier. So it's Ligier's 1, 2, and 3 at the moment, Colin.
Yeah, Greg, is that they're running very hot temperatures. You've got hot water, hot oil, hot diff, hot gearbox. They just hot. Now they're going to rip off the bonnet. Well, rip off, take off.
Cole, you can hear me, hey? Just to give you an indication, right now we're sitting with a current ambient temperature of about 23 degrees Celsius. A real feel of about 26 degrees Celsius ambient temperature, which is not that hot actually. But track temperature is sitting at 52 degrees Celsius. That's why these cars are running so hot.
And with that track temperature, it's not just the temperature that gets transferred into the tires, but it gets reflected into the base of the chassis. I saw when Jan Lammers got out of this car now, he was sweating proper. Greg Mills is in the car at the moment, and you know, it's one of those sad things where it's the first time they've run this car in a race in South Africa. They've got a lot to work through, a whole lot of issues. There seem to be vibrations on the front, bodywork that's moving up and down. But Greg, back to some racing with you.
No, the racing is happening properly out on the circuit as well, and there's lots to be still sorted out here, Cole. There's no doubt about it. We're not even close to finishing. We're an hour and 25 minutes into this race. We completed 55 laps in total, but we are back under race conditions. Virtual safety car is now gone. So Mornay, our cameraman, out on track doing a superb job. He's our only man camera at this stage. Our crew from Pro Visual Productions are working all the unmanned cameras via remote control. So this is the kind of action we can bring you, but it is action. It's action-packed the entire time. A lot of the action happens in pit lane, which is why we've got Colin and his team down there with the Mopar pit cam. But speaking of Mopar, there goes the Alpha. And I believe that they're going to be doing a driver change soon in that Alpha, and Keegan Ward will be climbing out. They were trying to go for 2 hours per driver. So Theo van Vuren will only climb into the car in about 25 minutes or about 30 minutes time.
Greg, if you,
we'll see Theo van Vuren
can hear me here
and take over the duties in that Mopar sponsored NSA Alfa Romeo Giulietta.
Greg, it's actually very easy to see why the Janetta stopped. This is the drive shaft that goes along here, and it's actually snapped. It's completely snapped in half. You can see it's hell of a hot, so I can barely touch it. But you see the drilling, there's a hole down the center of the thing to try and reduce the stresses on it, but not enough. The drive shaft snapped. You've got a limited slip diff that sits over here that distributes the drive, but when one drive shaft's completely broken,
Cole?
No matter how much limited slip you've got. Yeah, Greg.
No, I hear you, 100%. You know the problem we've got right now? The same issue, or a similar issue, actually happened when we were in East London last year when we did our first test run of this kind of coverage. Remember with the other Janetta G57, Simon Murray and Gavin Cronier's car. Unfortunately, Cape Town does not have spare parts for that machine.
Yeah, you know, Greg, these things are actually not really designed. They're designed more as track cars. And when you go to East London is incredibly bumpy, and also with the very high speeds. There's some long corners there at high speeds, and they haven't seen the kind of loads for extended periods on them. So it's a learning process. It's all about motor racing. Is one of those things that you learn and you keep modifying and changing and making things better and better as you go on. But these cars are absolutely incredible to watch. They're fast. They are very, very fast. Crowds actually love them. So we've still got the other Janetta in the pits. Charles Arangis is looking a whole lot more relaxed. And Greg, you've got to have some more action out on the track.
Thanks, Cole. No worries at all. All right, so our live stream is also picked up. We're going to just charge our Apple Mac quickly, and then we'll be able to give you some comments and chat to you guys that are commenting on the Part 2 coverage here of the Mopar-sponsored South African Endurance Series. Round 1 of the championship. It's the Campos600 here from Killarney International Raceway. Currently, it's 8 call 24/7 Ligier out front. And they have now pulled about a lap ahead of, in fact, no, the Campos is on the same lap. So the 3 Ligiers on the same lap, 1, 2, and 3. 333, James Forbes in that Campos Ligier. Strocam Mining in 3rd place ahead of Strelade Motorsport. Then we got Backdraft Cobra up to 5. Bucket List Racing is down to 6th place. The National Motorsport team are now into 7th, and it's the National Motorsport team who've now moved up into 8th place. It's a great drive there. And if I'm not mistaken, the Nash Motorsport number 8 car, that is Andrew Horn. Horn Dog, of course, a multiple single-seater champion and current Formula Kent champion in Formula Ford. So he knows what to do in a single-seater. And then that little Nash Motorsport machine is doing a superb job to be in the top 10. Just ahead of the Alpha, and piloted this stage by Keegan Ward. Right behind that, Autohaus Angels Honda Type R Civic. And that is Dane Angel behind the wheel of that one. So if you are joining us here on Facebook, a massive welcome to you, and thanks so much for joining us. It's really been an incredible day's racing so far, with a huge amount of action so far, both on the track and in pit lane. Colin's down in pit lane right now, and he's got a little bit more action coming your way.
I've just left us. That was Greg Mills in the car at the moment. And what was happening is that the car was running hot, but it was hot on the computer, not so much hot in real life, and the alarms were flashing, and the flashing lights were not working so good for the drivers. So they brought the car in, they downloaded a new map into it and gave it some new alarm limits, so their lights went dead, car started, and off he's bolted to carry on racing. So in terms of alarms, Greg, I'm paying attention to what's coming down here, because I don't want to be stupid again and not watch the pit lane. Lesson number 1, never turn your back on your enemy or a racetrack.
Or a race car. Particularly if it's piloted by Adcock. I think Adcock had a little bone to pick with you there. Anyway, back out on track there, you can see the Alpha in full flight down towards turn 2, G Energy Corner. And as I said, just inside the top 10. He's the last of the single digits in 9th place. Keegan Ward doing a really great job there with Theo van Vuren in the Alfa Giulietta. Things starting to open up a little bit here. And in fact, I think we've got an onboard lap of this Alpha, so it'll be quite nice to sort of see it from another point of view. I'm going to ask my production crew to get that onboard lap ready. And if we can get that all sorted out, maybe take them through a lap with the Alpha and show you what the circuit looks like from a slightly slower car. Take nothing away from them. They're still in 9th place overall in this 4-hour endurance race. But it'll be great to see it from a slightly slower car. We saw a lap record from Stuart White in the Ginetta. Let's see if we can see an onboard lap here from the Alfa Romeo's point of view. So this is the onboard lap from Stuart White that we're looking at once again. This is the lap record. It was an unofficial lap record that was set from that. And I wasn't quite expecting this one. I was hoping we were going to go to the Alpha coverage, but needless to say, let's stay with it. This is the car, of course, that Stuart White piloted this morning in a sprint race to set the outright lap record. And a 106.675 is now the fastest lap ever around the Killarney International Raceway. And you can see just how comfortable he is in this Maui Motorhomes Ginetta G57. He's been in the car a couple of times. In fact, he debuted last year down at East London Grand Prix Circuit with Craig Jarvis as his teammate, and since Jarvis saw the prowess and the ability of this young driver, he certainly is absolutely incredible to see in full flight. 292 k's an hour just as he climbs on the anchors and comes up on the back end of the Strocam Mining Ligier. And now looking to just climb past. Watch him, he'll just blast past relatively unhindered and across the line. As I said, that was the fastest lap ever around the track. It's not an official lap record. It was a 106.495. You have to set the lap record, of course, in race pace, and that's what he did this morning in the sprint race, where he went and did a 106.675. So that's what it looks like from onboard. We're going to try and pick up a bit of the Alpha action a bit later on and show you from the Alpha's point of view with some of our footage we picked up yesterday. Here we go. This is on board. This is even better. This is Jan Lammers in full flight. So a multiple Le Mans champion in his own right, and of course he spent oodles of time in, if I'm not mistaken, to our man that was watching a bit earlier, all the way from Holland. Paul said to me that there are 475 cars that Jan Lammers has raced in. And he has every single one of them in a 143 scale model in his house. He actually sent me a photo of it earlier on. It's pretty impressive to see. A massive Jan Lammers fan, and here he is in full flight out of turn 2G Energy Corner. Flicks it through the King, down past the exit point of, and of course now onto what would be the Joker lap of WRX's circuit here. But it's turn 3. They're up onto the KFM straight and now pushing hard. This is a car that they're going to be piloting not only here in the South African Endurance Championship, but also looking to get this car into Le Mans. And now as they go down the back straightaway, this Ginetta 55 is probably going to be doing close to the 260 km/h mark. Maybe not as fast as the Ginetta G57 LMP2 car, but now under braking coming up on the back end of the Nash. That little Nash probably just hindered that lap ever so slightly. Around the outside, powers through onto the Porsche Club straight and completes the lap in that G55. So nice to see that. See Dane Angel out of the car there in the shot that we just saw from our pit camera. So it means that his teammate has now stepped in. But I think Colin is possibly down there. And I might be able to catch up with Dane Angel. No, he's having a quick chat to one of our MSA trainee photographers. The team working frantically there. Let's concentrate not so much on, let's get to the drivers as opposed to Colin having a chat there. Go and have a chat and see what they're up to on the pit wall there, everyone, if you can. There we go. That's Autohouse Angel race team. It's a pity that Marcel's not here with them.
Marcel's up in the
VR himself. Well, when he got that Ferrari 458 of mine sorted out, and hopefully get that back on track for the next couple of events of the South African Endurance Series. Once again, there's the Alpha heading down towards turn 3. We'll come back to some onboard coverage of that Alpha a bit later on. We do have an onboard lap of that Alpha, which we'll get to a bit later on, but you can see that he's still going really well down the back straightaway. Car's in full flight there, ranging from about 200 k's an hour up to about 290 kilometers an hour. That's the difference between the fastest cars and probably the slower cars on track. And take nothing away from those slow cars, they're still in the mix. They're looking to possibly spoil the day for a lot of drivers out there, particularly the Nash Motorsport machine and Andrew Horn at this stage at the wheel. Things starting to cool down here ever so slightly as well. And just looking, I'm going to go quickly to my AccuWeather, give you a quick update as to the temperature here at Cologne, so we can see that conditions are changing. We've dropped down about 3 degrees Celsius in ambient temperature. So we're sitting, I'll do a quick update, 22 degrees Celsius. Still a relatively low UV index, and the wind speed has also dropped to 11 k's an hour. So we've got about 6 kilometers an hour in wind speed. So it looks like it's going to be a little bit cooler out there. That's quite a good thing in terms of a race car. You want slightly cooler conditions to keep it from overheating and having problems like we've already seen. Just behind that though, stick with this one. Just pan with the second car if we can there. The second car is quite lucky to pick up on because that is a Datsun 240Z. Yes, it's a historic and classic type racing car, but fantastic to see them having entered. And I can tell you, a lot of guys are sort of chatting about the fact that should we have classic cars, should we not have them there? But Brian Evans and Charlie Arton, who are seasoned campaigners at the circuit, have got a car that is definitely one to watch out for in the future. And that 240Z, I'm just going to run down on my timing right here. They're sitting in 11th place. They're just outside the top 10 in a car that is a slightly older machine than most of the cars out on circuit right now. So Charlie Arton and Brian Evans doing a great job there for the Cape Eye Laser and Dirty Dog Racing. Oh, I like that name. Dirty Dog. And dog spelled D-A-W-G. Ow. So a good run from the two of them. And just outside the top 10 overall. in the 4-hour endurance here. Campos600's in the house at Killarney International Raceway. It's going to be another couple of fun-filled, fun-packed hours here. We're hour and 38 minutes completed right now. And we're going to go on the Colin.
Greg, we got the 333 Fritz Kleinon's car that's just driven into the garage, engine running. It's running not so lacquer, sort of brum, brum, brumming. Excuse my sound effect. Right, engine cover's coming off, and we're going to get a good idea what's happening into the car. It's James Forbes in the car at the moment. Around engine, there seems to be something on the inlet side that they're having a look at. Trying not to get too much in the way. Ignition, fuel, way down with the gloves. This engine is incredibly hot. If you can come and have a look, give us a nice tight one in their cell phone with a torch. Having a good look at a loose pipe right. Engine cover looks like it's going back on. I don't think they've found too much damage with it. Right, engine cover going
like a bit
back
of
on.
Activity down there, buddy.
Right, let's get out of here. Ruan, here's the Janetta, the other Janetta, the G55. He's back in again. It's Greg Mills. And they're really worried about this bodywork. Earlier on, Jan Lammers came in and he started it again. So I'm going to... that car in the background is the 333 there, Rion. James Forbes, Ligia JS 5302. It's starting to get some...
we've got a car on track slowing as well. The 15 car starting to slow down there.
Right, the 333 is out of here.
Some issues there for Byron and John Oliver. They have slowed down dramatically and possibly going to be looking at a potential virtual safety car situation with that car slowing up very, very dramatically down the KFM straight. So they're telling him to come across the circuit and maybe park it right by the Marshall point, but he's actually pulled to the left-hand side, pretty much straight in front of Formula Auto's Boma there. So the Formula Auto's Boma getting a bit of action now as we've got a car stricken on the sideline. We'll wait and see whether or not the clerk of the course makes a call to go to a full course caution and a virtual safety car.
Right, guys, lots and lots of duct tape going onto the front of the Janetta. Earlier on, Jan Lammers came in and they were really worried about the front end vibration and the bonnet coming loose. And this has been bugging these guys in this car. They tug on it and it seems to be stuck down properly. And the cool thing about racing cars is you cannot get away without duct tape, tire wraps, and unobtainium. Greg.
How awesome is it that it's not only the team, but actually Jan Lammers himself strapping that bonnet down with duct tape?
And I love the variation of colors. I had a bit of a chat with him earlier, and he's just so concerned about getting this car to the end and doing anything that he can to keep it going. Right, that bit of red bodywork that we saw flying was the 52 car. We're going to go down here. This
While
is
you're
the
walking down,
Brian
just
Martin
to give our
car.
viewers an inside call, it is virtual safety car, so there's going to be a lot of pit lane activity. Expect a few cars to come in with this virtual safety car, bud.
Yeah, great. So we've got Brian Martin getting into the car. Can get a really cool look at the engine over here. We saw a bit of bodywork fly off down the back straight, and now we know where this bodywork comes from. Also around on the exhaust pipes, I'm not going to try and touch them, but you can see how the heat has mashed up the paint over here. Putting in fuel in the car, and one of the things about the fuel is you've got to get the fuel comes in the big one and out in the little one. We've got another car coming up in the pit lane. I'm just hearing whistles blowing, and
I did warn you. There's going to be lots of activity. We're under virtual safety car right now.
Absolutely love it. Right, so they're getting Brian Martin into the car now. It was a bit of a surprise. So he wasn't completely dressed and stitched and ready to rock and roll, but he's in the car now, got the belts done up nice and tight. And the cool thing about these backdraft guys is that they all work together as a team. There's the Evan Taplin guys who are giving him a hand. Lexus V8 motor. No turbo on it. They have been running a turbo on this car before.
Cole?
But yeah, Greg.
we've had a Facebook request.
Yes.
They've asked whether you can go and touch that pipe.
Which one? Okay,
you're
I'll
such
touch
an
it.
extreme athlete in that pit lane right now.
This is Colin, the extreme athlete.
No, don't touch it, Colin.
I've been
Don't
challenged to touch it. I'm going to lick
burning
my
white,
finger.
but you know how hot it's on.
Touched it. Okay, now I'm so brave, I'm going to do it again. For the Oaks who want me to touch it.
No, don't do that. Not with that finger.
Hey.
Some other games down there as well. We're allowed to have fun
extreme
too while we do this kind of commentary. So well done, Colin. Keep it up, buddy. But as you can see there, a little scheduled pit stop for the backdraft team, and it looks like they're almost good to go as we still stay under virtual safety car out on circuit. Cobra moving out. In fact, bonnetless Cobra to try and get the heat to dissipate out of the engine a little bit and ensure that they don't overheat that car as he goes out under virtual safety car. So
and I love how gently he just moved it out of the pit. No wheel spin, no histrionics, just gentle, move it on, guys. 2 hours, 20 minutes on the board down there.
You know what the cool thing about that is, Colin, is it gives you a chance not to make those crucial penalty errors, because you don't want to be doing that at this stage. It's going to be costly.
You know, the part of the fun about coming in to the pits under a 60 zone is you lose very little distance. The guys are doing 60 kilometers an hour, so you spend your time stationary. And I tell you what, guys, we've got such a big production crew. I'm getting confused. Do I watch this camera? I've got another camera over there. We've got some PTZs there, some RFGs over there. There's a drone up high in the sky, and then there's a super RF camera over there. But I tell you what, the flashing light has told me to look over there. And in my ear, you'll see I've got 2 different phones here. The idea with that is I've got my old producer from #WavedYellow shouting in my ear, and his words to me were, Colin, focus. Focus, Colin. So, Gary, I'm trying to focus. I'm working really hard on it. So, we've got 2 hours 20 left. There's a 60 zone at the moment. And in the 60, this is the kind of getting to the point where you might want to grab some fuel now. And once you've grabbed the fuel, and I'm being an idiot because I've got my back to the pit lane. Right, racing's live. Back to you, Gregory.
Yeah, we're back in racing, Cole. Thanks for that. As the green flags come back out again, and it's back to full race action out on circuit. Virtual safety car has been pulled in. The boards are in, which means it's now time to go racing again and to put the pedal to the metal, try and open up those advantages once again. Current standings: Nick Adcock, the 8 call, 247. Ligier out front ahead of the Strocam Mining cars, moved to second. The Campos car of James Forbes, after that little pit stop that we saw with Colin going to pick up on, has dropped to 3rd place, and looks like they've also lost another lap. So Adcock just doing a superb job out there right now, and the 2 drivers behind the wheel of that car just keeping it all together and ensuring that, of course, they've got a chance of taking the victory out. It's not over yet. We're an hour and 46 minutes into this race, and we've got 2 hours and 13 minutes still to go. Stradale Motorsport are into 4th place. Bucket List Racing have swapped out with Backdraft as those 2 cars came into the pit lane. In fact, there you can see them. The Backdraft Cobra, beg your pardon, right on the tailpiece there of 4th place. Stradale Motorsports Lamborghini, and then right behind them is Bucket List Racing. So we've literally got all the cars within the top 10 within a couple of meters on the circuit itself, which is not usual for what happens here. So as we get into the 2nd hour to be completed, a bit of a lock up there from the Backdraft Cobra. Bachelor Motorsport on their tail, looking for a way through. Oh, we got an engine blown by the looks of things. Is that the Ligier? It is. That's the Strocam Mining Ligier by the looks of things. Or is it? What could be? No, I beg your pardon. It's the Wright Motorsport car. So it's the Sports 2000 there of Gerald Wright's team. Dean Wilson and Gerald Wright sharing that car, and the Wright Motorsport team looks like they might have blown the engine down the main straight there. Hopefully not pulled any lubricants or fluids onto the circuit as that engine blew. But unfortunately, it looks like there's a big issue there on the Wright Motorsport Sports 2000. Okay, maybe not. Something's gone wrong, and then it went right again. So it looks like it's whatever the problem is, it sorted itself out. No, there, under brake, you can see still some smoke coming out of the car. So that car might have to come in just for a quick check to make sure everything's okay. Just ahead of it there, you can see the 240Z. No, there's definitely an issue there. Definitely an issue there for our Sports 2000. And Wilson and Gerald Wright will have to get onto that car and sort it out. If he's staying off the racing line, it means I'm a bit concerned of possibility of fluids being dropped by that car. And the COC and the marshals will be watching for that. I do beg your pardon, there's 2 yellow sports cars out there, so apologies to the fans there of Strocam Mining. I thought it was the Ligier, but it actually just caught me out on the pan shot of our camera, and it was actually that Wright Motorsport Sports 2000. And there it comes down the back straight, going to nurse that car into pit lane. Colin, you should be on standby to try and find out what's happening with that car. It's going to be coming into pit lane very, very shortly. He'll peel off to the left-hand side out of the shot. And look at that shot there. It particularly shows you how weather conditions are changing here in Cape Town. The mountain has completely disappeared. It's still there, though, so all Cape Town fans, don't worry. The mountain's still there. But do be concerned about the big blanket over the mountain. And Colin getting down to Wright Motorsport to find out what went wrong.
I'm a little bit worried about this pit stop. It's not planned. And there's a bit of an issue here. I've got the horrible smell of oil. This is definitely not a planned pit stop. Theo van Vuren is he's still without his helmet. And he'll get on. Keegan Ward just got out of the car. There is a smell of oil. They're going to take it back into the pits. It doesn't look like... let's just see if we can get a quick word. Freddie. There we go. Where was the oil? Right, guys. So that horrible smell. And I'm not going to touch this stuff. Because this stuff... Oh, man. Yeah, so
you've done everything else. Why are you going to leave it as a second option?
Okay, so it's burnt.
No, don't do that.
It's burnt gearbox oil, guys. I don't want to, and it's leaking. I really don't want to. They said I must lick it.
Oh, only Colin would do that. Well done. Take
They
one
call
for the
me
team there,
extreme.
Colin. We appreciate it.
That's going to taste horrible. And I'm going to have that in my mouth for a while. There's only one thing that gets the taste of burnt gearbox oil out of your mouth. And that's my friend. Greg, back to you.
It's the other reason, of course, that the South African Endurance Series run environmental mats all over the country and wherever we go. Not expecting the oil to sort of be dropped at all points. They've got environmental mats under where the cars park when they're stationary. So great to see that the environmental issue, particularly with MSA's big look at going green, along with, of course, our FIA and FIM going green too. It's all part and parcel of the way things should be changing up here and how motorsport is changing up in a big way. So there's a great example. That's one of the environmental mats down at Bigfoot Express Freight. And you can see that that's the kind of precautions that are taken. Even though we're on a concrete strip, they don't want any unnecessary spillages happening there. And when, of course, it happens in race, they'll clean that up as soon as we can. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dries and Environmental have helped out with a couple of the teams there. Greg Parton, who also is a campaigner every now and again in races of this nature, will be part and parcel of the cleanup that is provided here at Killarney International Raceway. So as we continue the action out on circuit, you can see the cars starting to just get into a nice rhythm now. Harry Aranji's at the wheel of the Paget and Stradale Motorsport Lamborghini. That's a rear-wheel drive one. It's not the four-wheel drive option. So looking to possibly, as we see a bit of action down the pit lane, I see the Janetta team running around a little bit. But going back to what I was saying there with Stradale Motorsport. Stradale Motorsport running the Lamborghini Gallardo GT3. Rear-wheel drive as opposed to the four-wheel drive option. They've got a four-wheel drive version of that car. They've also got that magnificent Aston Martin Vantage V12 that Charles pilots in Extreme Supercars. And the other thing to take into account right now, Carl, is we're getting into a situation where certain parts of the circuit are still under sunlight. other parts of the circuit are in a bit of dusk or slash overcast conditions. But Cole, you've got some action down there. What's happening? Colin, what's happening?
Right, the Janetta 55, the 555 car, Greg Mills, Jan Lammers' car, has come in. They are moving it back into the pits. There's a bit of a deeper issue here. It's not just the bodywork, and I'm watching backwards and forwards and inside. Got a lot of stop poaching stickers on the side of that car. But Ruan, we're going to have a look at the Alpha. And Greg, you were talking about the environmental mats earlier. And part of the way that we've got these mats, and I'm just going to see if my man is coming with me, Andrew Colbert, he did so well in the 1 hour race. So we come around here and you can see some of the bits and pieces of right. The reason that you have stuff on the mat is that part of the reason that you've got some mats, guys. Everyone, I think we've
Sorry, Cole. Yeah, we're just battling a little bit with your audio there as you went a little bit far down the pit lane there.
Yeah, Greg, I went.
They were picking up, of course, on the environmental mat underneath the Alfa Romeo Giulietta there. And as they get everything sorted out in that car, trying to sort out the gearbox oil issues that they found, it'll be, of course, a change-up in drivers as well, Colin, as Keegan Ward is now out of the car, and I think Theo van Vuren will be standing by to climb into it.
There were side of the gearbox. Which part of the gearbox was broken?
It's at the bottom end.
Can you fix it? Really bad. It was turning out to a cool race between you and Honda.
Yeah, the car was flying. Nothing wrong with the car. It was unfortunate the gearbox broke.
Right, that's absolute. That, guys, is what motor racing is all about. Sometimes you're the statue, and sometimes you're the pigeon. Today, the Alpha's gearbox was the statue. Greg?
Thanks for that, Cole. Yeah, just picking up on a couple of messages coming through via Facebook, via WhatsApp as well. The Alpha race fans are very, very happy so far, but they're a bit concerned about the fact that they're now in pit lane and having to do a little bit of gearbox issues you've just spoken about. So to all the Alpha race fans out there, don't stress. The team are on it. They're trying to sort things out. It looks like Byron and John Oliver have also got their car sorted out. The Mega Pile car about to go back on track for Nash Motorsport. So good to see that car going back out on track. Hopefully that'll be keeping it all together and seeing how we go. Right, there's a nice shot from our only man camera here today. As you can see, the weather starting to come in here. This is going to be a factor to be taken into account. We're certainly going to have to keep an eye on the weather. Never mind what's happening on track, but what's happening off the track and down towards Cape Town itself. The mountain is completely overcast and has the blanket over it, or the tablecloth as they like to call it down here. The tablecloth is over that one. You can see some clouds coming over the, what is it, the sort of northwestern part of the track. So we'll just have to keep an eye on. I did mention at the beginning of the race and the beginning of the coverage that we have to watch for those pelicans coming through. There you got a quick squiz at what things look like from the Killarney International's point of view. Just to run through it. Turn 1, Holes Hook or KFM corner. There's a third gear corner, and it looks like it's a relatively difficult corner. 1.32 G's of force. Turn 2, of course, is then going into G Energy, and that's about 180 k's an hour. Then you come out of that one through the kink at about 162.5 k's an hour, heading down towards turn 3, Rose Foundation sweep. 177 k's an hour as you pitch it into the right-hander. Down the back straight away, KFM straight into Malmesbury, the double right-hander. Exit of Malmesbury, you are flying down the back there, and of course looking at about 230 to 290 k's an hour top speed out of these cars here today. Hard on the brakes, down into a bank corner at Fastron turn, and then it's a slight kink onto the Porsche Club straight that takes you to complete the lap here at Killarney International Raceway in Cape Town. Back to live coverage now, as you can see, and keeping it all together on the circuit right now on most of the cars. But there are a few concerns out there and a couple of guys that are starting to look at the way things are panning out as we're coming to about 2 minutes to go for part 2 of our coverage here, ladies and gents. We certainly hope you've enjoyed it all. Don't forget that we are doing this in 4 parts. So I did get a couple of comments coming through in between saying, you've gone offline. Yes, we went offline, but we are back. And now I see coming through that they are happy and keep up the good work is what we're being told from the sideline. So yes, we did go off ever so slightly. We're going to be going off in a couple of minutes time as well. And we'll be back for part 3 as soon as we go off that. We're going to try and keep the brakes as little as possible. But we do need to do a break in the proceedings so it allows us to keep up with what Facebook allows to go live as well. It's not unfortunately condoned by us or monitored by us. Facebook only allow a certain amount of time to be live full time. So that's why we're going to be having the breaks in the proceedings. So we're looking at about a minute to go right now to complete 2 hours of racing. And to run through the 2 hours of racing, we've got the 8-call 247 Ligier out front of the Strocam Mining Ligier. Campos Ligier 1, 2 and 3 in terms of those Ligier 4-cylinder machines. And the Honda powered cars are certainly looking like they're the cars to beat. Sonado Motorsport Lamborghini is in 4th place, and 5th place is that bucket list racing car. But Colin, you've got some action down in pit lane.
Yeah, furiously, the guys at the 52, that's the red backdraft. They've been showing the. They found bonnet that flew off down the back straight. So they've been a couple of laps. Come and get your bonnet. Now you might say, why do we want to put the bonnet on the car? Well, A, it helps the aerodynamics and helps the car go down the straight faster. But more importantly, it helps with getting air into the inlet and to get the flow through the radiator so it keeps temperature down. The other thing is we've got a pit stop coming up right now for the other thing. Well, one of the other things is 910 Porsche is still smoking. The House Angel, that car is leading in production at the moment, and bottom is getting out, Frost is getting in. The Honda is down the back here. Ron, let's see if we can try and take a walk through here. This is going to be risky AF to see if we can actually keep the audio going. But this car is now leading after the demise of the Alpha. We've now got Dane Angel getting into the car. Cool thing about this track, because the pits, they're quite deep, you've got access to a lane at the back and a lane at the front. So we found the Honda. It's all looking pretty neat and tidy. It looks like they haven't bashed too much of it. All night, the tires looking good. They reckon that and these are tires that they run in the production cars, so they're semi-road tires. Quite impressive that they have lasted so long. Now the DDR part here is Dirty Doll Racing. That's young Angel. Right, they've got, one of the things you've got to do is put the transponder in for the driver, and this is the old transponder that they took out. Now this transponder, as they go over the line, the start-finish line, registers the driver. Right, driver in, fuel done, they've had some water. Oh, there he goes. Nothing like beats wheel spin. Right, and on that note, we've got some more action coming out of this end of the pit over here, because we've got the black Lamborghini coming into the pit. How do we know this? Well, we see all the guys with their fireproof stuff on. You got the fuel inlet, so the fuel will go in there, and the air will go out there, and the fuel will go into the other one. You can't put something into the fuel tank unless you take something out. So they're going to put fuel in, and they're going to take air out. Right, 216. There's also a Honda. It's Ligier. We've got Trevor Frost in the car at the moment. Pirelli tires going on, and these are the tires that have just come off, and they're all nice and hot. Now, Ruan, come and have a look over here, and you can see this is a rubber build-up. You want to try and get this rubber off the top. And it looks like we've got a code 60 again. Greg?
Oh, thanks for that, Col.
So, Ruan, if you can just come and have a look at, get a little bit tight. You can see this rubber we can peel off here, and have a look over here. That little spring that they've put on there is to, in case the wheel nut comes loose, so the wheel nut can't come off and you can't lose a wheel. Because 3 wheels on your wagon, that don't work so good anymore. Right, in comes the Lamborghini for its pit. He's coming down over here. Let's have a look at it. I've got to keep eyes on the car, because if you don't keep eyes on the car, you land on your bum on the ground and you look like an idiot. That yellow car is coming out now. Harry Arangis is getting out of the car. Charles Arangis, his son, is going to get in. There's a little bit of action. We've got the red Cobra coming down the pit lane over there. They've got his bonnet onto the car. There's a bit of an issue with the Lamborghini. They've got to get it closer in so they can get all the right bits and pieces into the fuel in and fuel out. Guys, this is not an ideal job, and the rubber is kind of dirty. We still don't know why we have a code 60, but we do have a code 60 on track, which means that this pit lane is going to get seriously busy. This thing runs Pirellis. You can see here brand new tires, what they call sticker tires, going onto this thing. You can bet that Charles, who's getting into the car now, is going to pin it like hell. Here you can see the air and the excess fuel coming out of the pipe there. There's just a tiny little bit of water. They put a water blanket on it to disperse the fuel. There goes that lovely 240Z Datsun. We've got right down the end there, Kishore Patamba coming in the Ferrari here. Greg.
Sorry to jump in there. We're just getting a couple of comments coming through all the way from Holland there. Paul Bijgersbergen has joined us once again, the big fan there of course, Jan Lammers.
So I think we should try
also
and go
being involved there. We're seeing Victoria Angel jump in, having seen her car, and the boys behind her car, of course, coming in for that one. Nice to see you. Thank you. Gooi Millie, she says. So we're going to try and gooi a bit of millies there. Nice to see Sparky Bright jumping in as well. We're looking at Wayne Watt coming in too, all the way there, saying thanks so much. He also says, you the man, Colin, by the way. So thanks for that one. Greg Charman is back. My queen jumped back in as well. And we also just lost timing for a few minutes there. I think there might have been a bit of a power drop on the other side of the circuit, but timing is now back up. And quickly to run through the top 10. It's Ligier's 1, 2, and 3. Aid call 24/7 of Adcock and Jensen leading things out over the now Stradale Motorsport, in fact, who've now moved into second place despite coming in for that pit stop. So they might just drop back one position as they come across the line again. But Stradale Motorsport were third and now have moved up into second spot. So the Lamborghini is certainly looking like it is in for a chance of a possible win here.
Yeah. And Greg, I've got the pit getting ready here for the leader, the 8 call 24/7 car. We've got Nick Adcock in the car at the moment, and Michael Jensen about to get into it. The other thing I want you to have a look at, and here comes the Patamba Ferrari down the pit lane. He's done his pit stop under the code yellow. So just listen to this thing. Unbelievable. That's Kishore in the car here. And it's green back on the track. Greg, do you want to take us green? And then I'm going to call it back when the Ligier comes in for its pits. Well, guys, hold on, Greg. I've got a Ligier that's been on the end of a rope that's come into the pits. This is the Fritz Kleinhans's car, and we've got the 52 in, but action, we're going back here. We're going back to the 8 call car.
Okay, 8 call car coming in there, Carl, you can see it.
We've got this stop here. Now, fuel in, driver change as well. We've got the rescue car coming down, so we'll get out of the way. Driver out, Jensen in. The air will come out of the hose on the right-hand side. Fuel is going in there. So watch this pipe, and you'll see the fuel and air coming out. Well, you can't see the air, but you'll see the overflow fuel. There we go. Fuel done. Got some brand new tires that are going to go on the back of the thing. Have a look at these beautiful air guns. It's a Paoli air gun. They sound magnificent. Nut off. And just listen to the sound of this. I'm going to see if I can get my get my mic in there. It sounds so awesome. Hold on. It's unreal. All right, listen to this. I'm trying not to get in the way. Lovely stuff. What a pit stop. And did you see the professionalism there? Quick glance over my shoulder before I run into the pit lane. It's actually not professionalism. I've just learned from being knocked on my bum. The other thing I want to say you, Greg, you can't really see my fingers, but all this gunky stuff here is from the tire build-up where I was fiddling with the Pirelli tires. There's a problem with that car. Michael stalled it. And let's just turn around. Right, off he goes. Gregory, 2 hours to go. Take it away, boy.
Yeah, we got 2 hours and 8 minutes completed. We've got 1 hour and 51 minutes to go. So absolutely nothing in it at the halfway stage. Looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars split by only 2 laps. Leading car there of Adcock and Jensen, with Jensen behind the wheel now, is a comfortable 4 laps ahead. So down towards turn 1 now. That's the backdraft Cobra. And in fact, if we pick up the car just ahead of it, we'll be seeing the lead car of now Michael Jensen at the wheel. Looks like we've just missed him going through turn 1, 2, and 3. He's probably heading up onto the back straight now, and we'll pick him up down that back straight away. So Jensen at the wheel of the 8-call 247 Ligier, leading over the Stradale Motorsport Lamborghini GT3 of Harry Arungi's at that wheel. Bucketless Racing is behind them. So a bit of a change up there for Bucketless Racing. They've slowly but surely made their way to the front end and are now becoming a bit of a threat at the front, I think, with their machine. So let's keep an eye on their progress and see if they can keep it all together now, with the 2 hour mark already gone and done and dusted. Information coming through from Theo van Vuren down in pit lane as well. It looks like the Alpha has had to pull out. So that's allowed the Cape I laser machine, the 240Z, to move into the top 10, just behind that backdraft Cobra. Nash Motorsport still in 8th place overall. An incredible drive there coming out of Andrew Horn and his teammate. So super stuff coming from those 2 drivers. Horn basically partnering up there and doing a great job with Howard Blake. The 2 of them just keeping it all together, staying smooth. Consistency is important. Here is our lead car. Nice to see the lights on now. The blue light is how we're going to pick that car up later on when it gets completely dark. It's not going to be too far away from getting completely dark with the weather conditions changing up. It looks like they might have sorted the Porsche 910 out again, and that's gone back onto track. I saw it just below me here in my commentary booth. So it looks like a little bit of a change up there for the Porsche team. Hopefully they've got that car sorted, get back on track. That's Steve Pickering and Andreas Letnik that are sharing that car. So he's back on, I think it might be Letnik behind the wheel, having a look at the helmet that came through there.
Right, Greg. Yeah,
there's another shot, Greg, of how things have changed up dramatically in terms of weather conditions. Cole, you're down in the Ginetta G55 team pit. What's happening?
Greg, they definitely do have a problem with the bodywork that was loose, and they've got a problem that is with overheating. And for our Dutch viewers, this is Holland's 2nd favorite driver behind Max Verstappen, is Jan Lammers. Jan, you're working hard. You've got the water bottle. You're helping the guys fill the car. You're just passionate about racing, aren't you?
Well, we're just having a cooling problem. So we're all sort of like doing what we can. So it's trying to figure out why it is. So we think there might be some air in the system. So tough luck.
Well, we've got some viewers from Holland, and they've just sent their best regards and best of luck for you, and Hup Holland.
Thank you. Nice. All right.
And I love this
there
smile.
You go. Just
thanks
Paolo.
a lot, Jan.
Well,
right,
Paul,
so this is the young
Bergen. There's your man, giving you a little bit of insight. He's giving you a bit of a wave as well. It's one of Jan Lammers' best and probably his favorite fan in the world. I mentioned earlier on 475 1 in 43 scale models of every single car that Jan Lammers has driven in his career. So that must be a collection of notes. It's going to be worth a couple of bob as well. So nice to see that. You're going to have to get a G55 as well now. That'll be nice to see if he gets that one. But Jan Lammers, as you can see, putting hands-on duty there to help the team out and ensure that they can get that G55 back up and running and hopefully back into contention. Back down to Colin.
Michael, you're a doctor, you're an orthopedic surgeon and a race winner. In your black Shelby, you won the 1 hour race today. That's got to be, you got to feel great about that.
No, I'm very happy. I mean, considering that we were on older tires and I was, you talk about just going and having fun, but once you get out there, then you start pushing and go. It was just fantastic. And racing with those two modern GT3 Porsches, it's a very different car. So in the straight line, they leave you for dead, and then you've got to catch them up again in the bends. It was just fantastic fun.
But the guys were saying that you were making your car incredibly wide, and there was no ways in hell that you were going to let them pass.
That's quite right. You have to. I mean, we're there to race. You're not there to let them pass. So, for example, down here, you have to take the left-hand line. If you leave the inside open, they'll be gone. So it's just defensive driving. I don't think there's anything unsporting about it, but yeah, it's defensive driving. You have to.
You don't sound very convinced about that. You know,
100% convinced. 100% convinced, yeah.
But now in normal life, you fix bodies.
Yeah, I do orthopedic and spinal surgery. So hip and knee replacements, spinal operations, that sort of thing. So this is a nice getaway from that.
Just hold on a minute. You said spinal replacement. So if somebody doesn't have a spine, can you put one in?
No. No, the technology's not there for that yet. But operations, fusions, and decompressions, and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just racing is just a complete getaway from that.
And what's the most difficult, intricate brain damage? No, that's wrong terminology. The most intricate operation you've ever done?
Definitely spinal surgery. So, you're working on either neck or lower back, you're working with nerve roots or spinal cord, so it's very intricate and delicate, and if things go wrong, there's big consequences. So it takes all of your attention, and sometimes you're standing there for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time concentrating on that without a break. So you need to be on your A game. And
you sit out there only for an hour in a race car.
And it's great that you can actually just you spend an hour in a race car and you come out of there wrecked. Do you normally look that wrecked when you come out of, what do you call it, the studio, the theatre, where you practice medicine?
No. When you come out from theatre, your body's been in the same position for hours, and it takes you a while to loosen up. Whereas here, everything's warm and sweaty and hot, and it's completely the opposite.
Cool.
That's what's nice about it.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for taking the time. Everything is warm and sweaty and hot. That reminds me. Big man.
Colin.
Upstairs.
Yeah, back to me. Joining us there, Samantha Maloney. Hey, my queen, how's it going, my baby? Junaid Hamad has also joined us. Mark DeToy has joined us as well from Swartkops. Good to have you here, big guy. Thanks so much for joining us on all the coverage there. And Paul de Klerk coming through. We're sitting on about 60-odd people watching at the moment. Janet Wood has come back again. And, of course, now we're going to just wrap things up here, ladies and gents. So stand by. Don't go too far away. A quick rundown of how the positions stand right now as we're about to complete part 2 of our 4-part coverage of this 4-hour endurance Campos600. The 8-call 247 Ligier of Jensen and Adcock, now 3 laps ahead of the Stradale Motorsport Lamborghini. In third place, it's Bucket List Racing that are currently sitting there doing a superb job, only 3 laps down themselves, ahead of Bachelor Motorsport. The Autohaus Angel Honda has moved up to 5th place overall, just overtaking the Nash Motorsport machine of Andrew Horn and Howard Blake. The Backdraft Cobra is down to 7th. The Strocam Mining Ligier, with that issue it had earlier on, and the pit stop, is down to 8th. James Forbes' team with some problems in their car dropped down to 9th place. That's the third of the Ligiers. And then it's the 240Z that is up into 10th place overall. Don't go too far away, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're going down to Colin before we do the break. So Colin's got something down there.
The car in the lead. Things are going according to plan.
Yeah, we didn't have the fastest car, as we know. But obviously the mice have gotten the machinery. I had a scare puncture halfway through my stint. Came in, replaced it. We kept topping up with fuel. We topped up with fuel on the safety car. And yeah, apart from that puncture, we're very consistent. The guys are behaving so well out there. There's some great driving. People looking for you, seeing you, being very kind. So, look, it's a game of endurance. Got, what, an hour and 50 minutes to go. So we just need to keep there stroking it, and Mike will be consistent, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again at the end.
And this is touch and go whether you need one stop or splash in it.
No, we're good on fuel now. Because we stretched it over 2 hours, and so we knew we were marginal for 2 hours of green running, so we stretched it over 2 hours for my run, and then he's going to be absolutely fine. No more stops needed, punches or dramas aside.
The great words of an endurance driver. We're good on fuel to the end. Greg, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, we certainly will. Great to get a little insight there from Nick Adcock, the driver that's piloted that car that's leading for the first 2 hours or so. His teammate Michael Jensen has now taken over from him. And speaking of taking over, we're going to take a bit of a break here from the proceedings at Killarney International Raceway. Please join us in a few minutes' time for part 3. Don't go too far away. We certainly hope you've enjoyed all the action so far. It has been action-packed here at the Campos 600, and we'll be back pretty shortly for more action and part 3.